An important aspect of using formulas is understanding the difference between the concept of absolute referencing versus relative referencing. Let's demonstrate that for you. If I, for example, were to add column B, just using a simple auto sum, quick and easy, here it comes, there's your total. A standard practice to quickly replicate that across the columns would be simply grabbing your autofill and dragging it right across the columns. We have replicated that formula, but it's a different formula. Look, column B is adding B4 to B6, but column C is adding C4 to 6. Column D, D4 to D6. I didn't change that. Excel automatically changed that formula relative to where I paste it or relative to where I replicate. For example, if I were to redo that, let me delete column C and delete column D's totals using a simple copy and paste. If I copy cell B7, the total, and I paste it 2 cells to the right, 1, 2, Control V to paste. Can you see what it's done? Column B is B4 to B6. 2 cell to the right, B, C, D. Once again, the formula has changed relative to where I've pasted it. And for the most part, we want that. And Excel will do that. Excel will automatically change the formula relative to where I paste it. Now, we don't always want that. Let's say we wanted to convert that difference into US dollars. If I were just to copy that heading across, let's give it a heading of dollars. I'm going to put here, just as a central input, the conversion from the pound to the dollar of currently 1.39. Now, what would my formula be? My formula would be taking the difference of cell D4 and multiplying it by the 1.39. I am not wanting that cell of E1 to change when I drag it down. And that's what's going to happen, because as with any formula, when I copy, when I replicate, when I drag using the autofill, Excel will automatically change that referencing relative to where I pasted. So there it's done it. D4 times E1, copy it 1 down, D5 times E2. I want the D5, but I still want it to be times E1. So we need to always ask ourselves the question, whenever we are copying a formula in Excel, do I want Excel to automatically change the referencing relative to where I paste? If your answer is yes, don't do anything, just continue. If your answer is no, then before you copy, before you replicate that formula, you need to make sure that you change the referencing to absolute. That you do through the use of dollar signs. So here I'm going to change the referencing of E1 to absolute. The way that you will do it is before the E, put a dollar sign in. Before the 1, put a dollar sign in. In other words, before the column reference and before the row reference, then no matter which direction you copy that formula, E1 will be E1. It will never change relative to where you paste it. Let's give it a test, shall we? Here I'm going to take a copy of that and I'm going to paste it down 2 cells, 1, 2. I would expect the E4 to change to E6, but the E1 reference should remain the same. Let's have a look, shall we? And there it is. Column is just a little bit too small, but there it is. D6 times E1. The E1 did not change. It was absolute. I'm going to Control Z to undo to get back to where I was before the dollar sign. So how can you do this quickly? How can you quickly insert dollar signs, particularly if you have long formulas, lengthy formulas? You don't want to be doing it manually. You simply go into your formula bar, you highlight the referencing that you want to convert from relative to absolute, and you use your function key 4, your F4 key. You press that once and you press enter, and look, your dollar signs have been automatically inputted for you. It's a matter of simply copying that down. And if I wanted to do the formula for the total of my dollars, well, that one I'm going to copy across. Yes, I do want it to change, so I do not want to convert that referencing from relative to absolute. It has changed. Everything is perfect. Please remember the difference between relative and absolute referencing. The application comes into formulas when we copy them and paste them or replicate them using the autofill. The key point is, whenever you do that, ask yourself the question, do I want Excel to automatically change my formula relative to where I'm pasting it? If your answer is yes, go ahead and copy in. For the most part, that will be the case. But if you are looking at a key piece of data, a key input cell that should not change between formulas, before you copy, use your function key 4, your F4 key, on the references that you want to remain the same. In other words, put the dollar sign before the column and before the row reference, and that formula will become absolute. No matter where you copy it to, it will remain absolute.